Hello everyone, hope you're having a good day. My name is Hassan Al-Hamadi, I'm an MBA student, and today I will be presenting Qatar development and management of the supply chain in dairy industry for milk. Despite being one of the wealthiest countries in the Persian Gulf, Qatar has milk shortage problem. Milk shortage worsened following the trade sanction by former allies due to a political reason. This study aims to exploring Qatar's development and management of supply chain plan in dairy industry for milk. Its scope is to discuss different strategy plans that Qatar needs to consider to be able to solve its milk shortage problem. Research objectives and questions. Research objectives to increase milk production in the country and satisfy the current demand in the market and eliminate the shortage. To discuss the production of milk through sustainable agriculture. To assist Qatar developing long-term solutions to milk and milk products shortage in the country. Research questions. What is the current situation of Qatar's milk production industry? What is the cause of the current Qatar milk shortage and what are the efforts to solve the situation? Does Qatar have unexploited potential in regard to development and implementation of milk production? Qatar is a peninsular found in the Middle East region located between Saudi Arabia and the Arabian Gulf. It is classified as a hot subtropical desert with high humidity and very low rainfall throughout the year. The geographical location, hot weather, and water shortage prevent Qatar from engaging in dairy farming. As a result, it outsources its dairy products supply from its neighbor Saudi Arabia. Qatar started experiencing food shortage and low supply of dairy products after the sanction. Particularly, food started reducing as the imported route has been completely blocked and shut down. Following the trade embargo, Qatar now imports milk from Turkey. Additionally, the country has airlifted 4,000 dairy cows from Budapest in an effort to start its own dairy industry and increasing milk supplies. Furthermore, it opened a $7.4 billion port serves as a trade route, which is called Hamad Port. Given that Qatar has experienced a major crisis in the supply of milk, the country has focused its attention on strategizing its supply. Initially, Qatar relied on the milk imported from its allies before the sanction. But after the blockage, the country focused on starting its own dairy industry and also importing milk products from Turkey. Overall, establishing strategic supply chain in dairy industry will enable the country to produce milk in the right quantities and sell it at affordable prices. Dairy industry has grown and the demand for milk and milk products has increased, but it is faced by several challenges, including changes in climate patterns, high perishability of the raw milk and finished product, post-production loss, and uncertainty in supply of milk and milk products. Recently, the concept of clean milk has emerged and have significant effect on the dairy production market share. Clean milk is manufactured in the laboratory using biotechnology and so cows are not needed for production. In dairy industry, supply chain starts from the raw milk production, then ends when the final products reach the consumer. The first phase, usually called cold chain, initials moving milk from cows to the cooling storage tanks. It is kept in the storage facility and then collected by the transport company to the dairy processor. Then the dairy processor tests the milk for quality, and if it passes the test, the final product is completed, packed, and then shipped to the consumer. If it fails, it becomes unfit for consumption and disposed. Therefore, the supply chain ends when the final products reach the consumer. The planning process the future and makes supply chain more beneficial to milk producers, suppliers, and consumers. In the future, dairy industry is likely to be affected by factors such as utilization of biotechnology in animal breeding, cost of eradicating animal diseases, and development of specialized milk. Sales planning process enable retailers to ensure they have optimum stock of perishable products to avoid unnecessary losses. It is an essential process in dairy industry since milk has a short shelf life. Production planning plays a lead role in creating effectiveness and cost efficiency. Dairy production is a fast-paced supply, so proper planning is required. The production quality can be improved by maintaining the machines and maximizing cleanliness. Order fulfillment cycle involves the process of receiving, processing, and delivering the order to the customers. This process faces problems like poor logistic planning and ineffective information system. Order fulfillment cycle in dairy industry is make to stock, whereby retailers orders products from suppliers, then sell it to their customers. In business, activities are considered as process consisting of different phases that works together to deliver the expected output. The Porter's model classifies processes in primary and supporting activities. Primary activities comparison of inbound and outbound logistic operations, marketing, and sales and services. On the other hand, supporting activities consist of infrastructure, human resource management, procurement, and technological development. Strategic planning process consists of strategic supply chain design and strategic source. Demand planning process involves analyzing the target consumers. It consists of forecasting, life cycle planning, consensus demand planning, and promotional planning. Supply planning process comprises of processes such as supply stock planning, outsourcing, supply network planning, customer collaboration, and supplier collaboration. Manufacturing process consists of detailed scheduling process and manufacturing execution. Warehouse and transportation process. Warehouse involves activities such as cross-docking, storage, and physical inventory. Warehousing in dairy industry is about the condition in which the milk is stored. Transportation process involves freight costing and transport planning and executing processes. Israel is classified as one of the countries with the harsh climate condition, which is not favorable for dairy farming. However, it is doing very well in dairy farming since it has invested in cost-effective technology intervention. The pillars guiding Israel dairy industry includes breeding, reproduction, feeding, heat stress, equipment and farming and farm management, and veterinary aspects. New Zealand dairy supply chain model focus on developing system that monitors milk supply schedules and optimization, product demand profiles, inventory replenishment policies, and manufacturing restrictions. This study adapted the qualitative research design and inductive approach. A total of 150 participants were engaged in the study, with the number consisting of 20 government officials and company managers, and the rest were retail store attendants and customers. Data collection was done using 3 methods: systematic view, SurveyMonkey, and phone calls. Research procedure. First, the existing problem in Qatar dairy industry was identified. Different retail stores owners contacted participants to be engaged, and phone calls identified. Then there was a collection of data from consumers using SurveyMonkey. Data management. Notes were taken from phone calls and systematic review recorded and stored accordingly. Data analysis. The collected data was analyzed using content analysts. Ethical consideration. All participants were briefed accordingly and giving consent forms to indicate that their willingness to be a part of the study. A written withdrawal memo was presented to them to allow them to withdraw from the study. And this slide shows the result we got from the participant in percentage respectively. When asked to describe the challenge of assessing dairy industry, 18% indicated that they always find milk to meet their needs. 68% stated that they are forced to consume less quantities because they cannot access their daily consumption quantity. 76% admitted that they settle for the product they have find on the shelf because there are no variety. Majority of retail store owners share that dairy product has become a challenge due to the sanction, and the situation is now improving. The challenges facing dairy industry in Qatar includes lack of information of dairy farming, insufficient production to meet the local demand, high production costs, and lack of experience in dairy farming among farmers. A few participants suggested importing milk from other nations. Majority stated mechanisms such as improving the breed of cows, improving farming practice and cow feeds, and increasing the number of cows in the country. Other findings. Main constraints that hinder increase in the milk production in Qatar include finance constraints, lack of skills and experience of the dairy farmers, and lack of market. Relationship between retail buyers and suppliers. The nature of relationship includes informal agreement, written contracts, and no formal and informal agreements. Logistic supply. The response mentioned that lack of information, difficulty in getting in the market, and insufficient information flow contributed to limited access to dairy production. Post-production milk losses. The study found that the post-production loss in Qatar are relatively low since farmers only produce small amount of information. The losses result from spillage and expired of the product. Factors that causes milk losses. The respondents stated factors such as milk handling at collection points, poor communication among supply chain actors, milk storage facilities at home, weather condition, lack of immediate market, and transportation means. Evaluation of government support of dairy industry chain actors. In an attempt to understand the government effort to develop and manage the supply chain in Qatar's dairy industry, 19% of the respondents rated the support as excellent, 31 very good, 23 fair, 18% unsatisfactory, and 9% as low stated reasons such as inadequate financial support, lack of access of dairy farming data, and insufficient information on dairy farming practices. Discussions and conclusions. In order to develop and manage the supply chain in Qatar, the following strategies are recommended. Short-term strategy. This includes ensuring reliable and predictable supply, knowledge management, and increasing government support to farmers. Medium-term strategies. This includes the process integration and building and managing coordinations. Long-term strategies. Long-term strategy includes the policy intervention. As a conclusion, Qatar has experienced milk shortage due to trade sanction from its neighbor. Given this, the country has been focusing on increasing its milk supply. This report indicates that the government is almost attaining this, but the industry requires short-term, medium-term, as well as long-term goals to develop a sustainable supply chain. Importantly, the government needs to support the farmers and ensure they have sufficient information and experience to engage in dairy farming. Well, the rest of the slides are references, and this will conclude our presentation for today. Thank you very much.